Welcome back to We Move Through Stormy Weather, a podcast by Storm Sound and Osiris Media. I'm Ryan Storm, and today I'm here at Summer Camp Festival in Illinois, here with the one and only keyboard wizard himself, Joel Cummins.
Hey, how's it going, Ryan? What's up, everybody?
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited to be here with you. You know, people who may not know or may not have heard our previous conversations can check out episode 3 of We Move Through Stormy Weather, where we talked about Harry Hood and other various keyboard-related topics, which that was a great episode.
Thank you. I thought it was one of my best episodes as well.
Thank you. Awesome. And this is also cool because this is the first time I'm ever doing an episode of this podcast in person. This has never happened before. So
wow, I did not realize we were breaking ground.
Yeah,
well,
it's very exciting.
Summer Camp Festival is a great place to do that.
Yes. Well, let's start there. Let's start with that topic before we move on to other Umphrey's related things. Summer Camp Festival has been a big part of, and your band has been a big part of Summer Camp. And as you know, this year is the last Summer Camp Festival. You know, how does that feel? And you know, talk through kind of how this relationship has come to be and how it's evolved over the years.
Well, it's definitely a little bittersweet that it's the last year, but I also have faith that we're going to move forward and do something different and do something new the next year when this time presents itself. But yeah, we've been a part of Summer Camp since 2003 when it moved to Memorial Day weekend, and eventually the Mo guys were cool enough to invite us to be partners in it with them as well. So you know, it's something that has been really, really special for us for a long time. This year in particular, though, it feels really special to me because we're back on the same stage with Mo. For the past 10 years or so, Umphrey's has been on the Sunshine stage and Mo's been on the Moonshine stage. So we decided, before we really even knew this was going to be the last one, that we wanted to do a year with us together so that we could collaborate more.
Right. So there is a collaborative billing later on in the weekend. Umphrey's, McGee, and Mo at the same time. Does that mean all members of both bands on the same stage?
You'll just have to be there to find out, Ryan.
All right. And everybody listening, I mean, you know, it's already happened by the time this comes out. So people will know, and I will know, and I'm excited to find out exactly what that entails. And so that's awesome. So on to other things. Umphrey's has been on somewhat of a tear this year. You know, I from seeing my first show in January, and I see a lot of the buzz online. He gave me some homework to do, some jams to listen to that we're going to talk about. But what has this year felt like for you guys as a band?
I feel like it's been a really adventurous year as far as our improvisational stuff goes. And we've also finally gotten comfortable with a lot of the new material that we've debuted in 2022. We had I think 19 new original songs that were either released or that we played live, and I think we're playing about 17 of those at this point, maybe 18. So it was a lot of new music for us to learn, and it takes like 8 to 10 reps to get that stuff down. So I think that was a big thing. And then as far as the improvisational stuff goes, you know, Ryan and I have been working on a lot of different communicative things, just trying to get more comfortable changing keys and, you know, ways to get around changing keys and figuring out you know, maybe some new key areas that we can go to from certain places. So I think there's been a lot of, you know, there was one thing that I listened back to, and I kind of remembered this in person, but I was like, dude, we went to the 5 chord, and then we went to the 5 of 5, you know,
right.
and just kind of like nerding out on that, listening back to it. So a lot of times it doesn't process as much live when you're creating. You're just trying to like stay on with what's happening and maybe remember the last previous idea that you did in case somebody leans back and is like, let's go back to that last thing we did.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the cues. I was just actually leaning back. That's one thing that we use if, you know, we have kind of an A and a B section going and we want to hit the other thing for a little change. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been really excited about that. I feel like we've created a good amount of space, and, you know, we've had a few songs crossed the 20-minute mark. I don't think we've gotten to the 30 mark, but yet. But
we're only 5 months into the year.
Only 5 months into it. Only 5 months into it. One of the things I had mentioned to you when I was talking about this that I wanted to kind of give a little context is that I feel like we, more than other bands on the scene, kind of try to get to the point of whatever the idea is that we're creating. We could probably... There are times when I, listening back, and, we talk about this, of course, too. It's like, oh, man, we could have taken that idea another 16 or 32 bars or whatever it was, right? So it's hard to know sometimes when is the moment that you should be done peaking. Right.
When has the musical idea run its course, and when should you move on to the next one? Yeah.
And sometimes live, I feel like, especially with the light show, and it's easier in your mind to think we should keep going with this.
Right.
And then you listen back and you're like, whoa, when I don't have the light show.
Right. It's like, this should have ended a couple of minutes ago. And
I'm a big fan of redundancy.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically all jam music is.
I'm a big fan of redundancy.
Yeah.
It's basically all jam music is. Just, fooling people with a little tension and release, going back and forth between ideas. A nice guitar solo, nice guitar melody, nice Moog melody.
Exactly. Who doesn't love that? Gets people going.
Yeah. So it has been a really fun year, and this last month of touring in particular, April, I was telling some of the guys, I'm like, I had the best time that I can remember playing and touring. So it's feels like we're in a place where it's fun on stage, it's fun off the stage, and we're in a good groove right now.
I love it. And so you picked 3 jams that you told me to listen to, make notes on, etc. That you wanted to dive into, and I do have the notes here. Let me pull them up. For myself. Okay. So I did the Philly silent type here first. Now,
yes.
Why did you pick this one?
I picked this one because I remember there being a surprising modulation and section that the song is in C sharp minor, and so it usually starts out in kind of this dancey space, and sometimes we do go to the relative major and we'll end up in E a little bit, but not all the time. And in this one, I think we did go to the relative major. I think we went to the E, and then I think we went to maybe the 4 chord, the A, from there. And that was, I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
But that was like this little revelatory moment. I was kind of playing the chord progression, and I was able to get Ryan's attention to get him to go with me.
Okay.
And
is that like a big accomplishment, like getting Ryan's attention?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
idea?
He's really focused on himself, so on and off stage.
Right.
No, but just those. Sometimes you get into something that is happening so much, you're like, oh, I'm going to close my eyes and really focus on that. So, it might have been something like that where I'm kind of bouncing around over here on the side. I'm like, Pone. So we also have talkback mics, so it's very possible I could have just bent over and said his name, so that he would look at me. But yeah, I remember us getting to a really beautiful, majestic, surprising space on this silent type, and I think lengthwise it might be one of the longer ones. What is it?
It was only like 14 or 15 minutes, I think. Yeah.
That's definitely in the top 10% of length. I mean, the song composed is like 3 minutes long.
Right.
So
right.
It's not
in terms of actual improv length.
Yeah.
It's a little on the longer side. Yeah. This I remember hearing this jam because this was the show I listened to while driving to Cleveland before my first show. Little prep work. I picked this show because I was looking through recent shows and it had a 20+ minute Attachments opener, which is my favorite song, and I was like, okay, well, this is the show I'm going to listen to in the car. And that Attachments is amazing, also. And I've gone back to that one a few times.
I remember that one being decent. I should check it out.
Show opening 20-minute Attachments.
Ooh.
It's hard to go wrong with that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember this now. I remember that Attachments is one of your favorite Umphrey songs. If not, your
it is
top
my
one.
favorite Umphrey song, yeah.
Currently. could change.
It could. I mean, listen, I'm gonna see a whole bunch of Umphreys this weekend, so it could very well change. I've been digging in the kitchen. You know, saw that in Cleveland as well, and you guys played it tonight. Like,
that's one of the most consistent jam vehicles over the history of Umphrey's McGee. I mean, there was one from Red Rocks. I think it was it 2021?
mm-hmm.
I think it was June 18th, 2021. June 18th, 1994. Also my first Fish show.
Oh.
June 18th, 2021, it was Umphrey's McGee playing, and we ended up, that was like made it on the Hall of Fame vinyl for Umphrey's.
Got it.
Yeah. Assuming we've released that already. I hope I'm not spilling the beans.
Well, I'll check on that before I put out this podcast.
Yeah,
there may be a bleep in there.
Yeah,
on what it is.
I'm pretty sure it's out there. But another in the kitchen, I want to say it was August 25th, 06 maybe. It was the Riverview Festival in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's another pretty quality one that I remember. I think there was also one from maybe 2012 that was on the Hall of Fame. But, you know, there are lots of kitchens that are probably worth a little stroll down memory lane.
Yeah.
A little dive into.
I love it.
But we picked this one.
Well, I haven't talked about the silent type yet.
We
can't move on to the next jam. I was going to say, so this one is really cool to me because what I've noticed the more I've listened to Umphrey's is how a lot of how active Chris is in all of the improv. You know, the drummers, even a drummer like John Fishman, where he's so active in the jams, like he's still playing a lot of a support role against what Trey or Paige or Mike is doing melodically. What's so cool to me listening to Umphrey's is how aggressive Chris is in all of the jams, and like, you know, not only is he super busy, but it doesn't feel like he's stepping on any of your toes musically either. Like, there's so much going on. He's so aggressive. He's so at the front, but there's still so much space for you and Brendan and Ryan and Jake to fill stuff in. And, you know, obviously I want to mention Andy as well, who I always like subtly notice is adding, that nice layer of percussion on top of the drums. But this was really cool because, you know, in my Umphrey's newbiness, I still think of you guys as like very dark, metally, whatever. And so hearing this, and it's just like bright and soaring and major key, as you said, like it's awesome. And I feel like there was less of, the one thing that I kind of have a hard time with sometimes is those, like, you know, when Jake will play like 18 million notes in like 3 seconds.
He was being really patient.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, like there's a lot more emotion in the playing, and I was like, hey, like this is awesome. So I loved this one, and your keyboard work going from Rhodes to Moog to B3, like it's awesome. It's interesting.
Yeah, right. I think that's, just to stop on that real quick, with Umphrey's changing, you know, parts and going, you know, it can be like 1 minute we're in this heavier thing, and the next minute all of a sudden it's ambient.
Yeah.
I try to have that sort of flexibility where I'm thinking about which instrument I'm playing every, you know, 32 or 64 bars, to be like, have I played this out? Do we need to, does a new texture need to happen?
Right.
And I think that can be, you know, it can really change the mood of something, or in this case, you know, I think I went to the organ and was just laying out on those chords, right? So
Soaring,
just kind of, but creating that harmonic bedrock that is very confident, so the other guys hear, oh, okay, he's just doing like a basic 1/4 thing, and that opens it up and makes it very simple for them to, you know, to not have to think too hard.
Right. I love it. So we do have an In the Kitchen here. We talked about In the Kitchen. And this isn't even your favorite jam from this show.
I don't think so, yeah. I had a couple people tell me that when they listened back, this was their favorite. And the reason for me it probably wasn't my favorite live is that I think every song in the set had a jam.
Okay.
So we had
embarrassment of riches.
An embarrassment of riches. And not only that, but like, you know, we were an hour into set 2 probably.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it's like, you know, it can be tough to muster up the creativity there in the final quarter of the show.
Right.
And so I just wasn't super confident going into the kitchen jam how it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that feeling, and being like, oh man, are we done? Or we got one more left in us, to kind of make it happen. So then I did listen back to it, but I don't remember listening back to it, but I just had a couple people tell me that was their favorite jam on the show.
Now, remembering off the top of your head, what was your favorite jam from this show?
I think my favorite was, I said Bridgeless earlier, but now thinking back to it, it might be Miami Virtue.
All right.
Which I believe precedes Kitchen. I think it goes into Kitchen.
Oh, I think I saw that when I was looking at it. It's like almost 20 minutes.
And I don't remember what happened there. It's just a feeling.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. Well, you're playing the jam. You have a feeling about certain
but I
things.
have listened to it, but I've since forgotten.
Love it. Yeah. This one's cool to me because, we had, as I said, the other one was very guitar and drums led. And there's still that in this jam, but I found like Stasek or Ryan. I don't know whether people call him Ryan or Stasek. Okay,
yeah, sure.
He was like leading a lot more, at least towards the beginning of the jam. A lot of jazzy stuff happening, which I really enjoyed listening to.
Cool. Did we do? Was there a ring mod jam in this one?
There may have been a little bit of ring mod. There wasn't anything that struck me as like, oh, this is the ring mod jam like you did in Cleveland after we talked about it. You were like, yeah.
It's funny because Ryan and I get very into it, and I think Chris and Jake like it too, but I think most of the time Brennan gets mad when we go ring mod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's this atonal shit? Like, yeah.
I love it. I love all that Wayne Krantz shit, man, and that Bill Frisell, that sort of sound that they go after. It's just... It's so out there, but if you get it right, and there are all these strange harmonics that kind of come up depending on how much of the ring mod you're using and where you have it set on the as far as the frequency goes. So sometimes, there was another one. It was a Josh Redman improvisational thing. I want to say Chapter 9, but that might be wrong. But it was from Madison, Wisconsin, when we did an improvised set together, and I ended up with a ring mod thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, I just sat on it for like 3 or 4 minutes and just kept playing it. But it was good. It had like a groove. It wasn't something where I was super busy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's one of my favorite effects to play with. Anyway, that's my tangent.
It's a lot of fun. Well, listen, we love tangents on this podcast for sure. This one was cool, also because. There was more of you and Brendan, I feel like, being more active in the improv. I know it's interesting also listening to how you fit into the space in a lot of Umphrey's jams in more of a support role, and you're like augmenting the lead players, which personally I wish you were a bit higher in the mix as a keyboard guy. But
it's a challenge because Chris Mitchell is mixing for the venue.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we have a separate, like, what he's trying to mix for the venue first, but also not make the tapes horrendous.
Right, exactly.
The tapes.
Yeah, the tapes.
It's an interesting thing because I kind of view my role in that as I like when Jake or Ryan start improvisational ideas. Brendan too, for that matter. I really like the feeling of creating something off of what someone else is playing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also easier for me to do in general as opposed to like me play something for the guitar players.
Right. Yeah.
I have a lot of options.
Right. Yes.
I can play chords. I can play single notes. I can do
also
something
Rhodes,
rhythmic.
synths, organ.
So many different. Yeah. So there are a lot of creative choices I have as somebody who's reacting to the first thing that happens, and I really like having that flexibility. So I think the other thing is I like to wait. It's like let these guys get their creative ideas out, and then we're at the point where like, all right, nobody has anything. All right, I'll take this.
I'm
one.
in. Yeah. Right.
Like you kind of try to fill those voids creatively as well, and just be the person that's there to pick your bandmates up when it's time to do it, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, and we have one last jam to talk about here, which is the Mantis from Grand Rapids on January 27th. I don't know if I had heard this song before.
Oh man, this is one of the
my first note actually is at 1 second into the song. Is that a xylophone?
Oh,
Is that a xylophone?
I believe we recorded them on. Well, it might have been, but I think we did it on a keyboard, and we used a sample of something,
Got
so
it.
it wasn't an actual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caught me a little off guard.
Yeah. So that intro is on the album, and we don't always play it live.
Oh,
So
there we go.
sometimes it has it, sometimes it doesn't. But Mantis is, to me, one of the top 5 kind of definitive Umphrey's McGee compositions.
Ooh.
So it was our 2009 album, a lot of progressive tunes and all songs that we had not played live.
Mm-hmm.
So we released an album of completely new material, which we had not done before.
That's
up
awesome.
to that point.
Yeah.
So Mantis was kind of the centerpiece of that, and the instrumental music of it, Jake and I wrote together over the course of a couple months. And then Brennan wrote the amazing vocal stuff that's on there. I mean, it's just it's all over the place. I was talking to a couple friends we were talking about what is our favorite song of all time. We started with top 5 and then we got down to 1. And my one is probably Bohemian Rhapsody. And,
great choice.
And Mantis is kind of like our Bohemian Rhapsody, I would say.
Ooh,
in a way.
okay.
Or, at least compositionally, something that's really complex and goes a lot of different places.
I love it. This jam was cool to me also because another one where you were kind of more in the front. Felt to me like a 2001 jam. You were kind of playing that kind of funky Rhodes.
Okay. I haven't listened back to this since right around the show time.
Okay, I love it.
Again, I just remember listening to it and I was like, oh yeah, that's
a good one. Yeah, I love it. Well, there's a lot there's a lot to listen to here because again, this is a different this is more of a bliss jam, but you're more active in it than you are in the what's it called,
Silent Type.
The Silent Type from Philly. Thank you. It's. One of my notes is that sweet Rhodes, and then you crank the reverb on it later on in the jam. Like there's a lot going on, and I had to. I think it was during the kitchen. I switched from listening on my Sonos speakers to headphones because I found I could hear you better in that. But it was coming through on this jam, and I was like, yeah, like keys are here.
Nice. That was one of our. I remember the crowd at that show being really into it, and the Midwest always has a special energy, but Michigan in particular, I feel like they always come out and we play at the Meyer Gardens in the summer, which we're doing again this summer. So we hadn't played an indoor show in Grand Rapids in probably 5 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
I think people were pretty amped about that.
Love it. Well, we're here in the Midwest this weekend. We've got some great Umphreys on tap. Very much looking forward to seeing you guys a bunch over the next few days, and whatever collaboration with Mo that ends up being later on this weekend. But anything else before we go?
Well, I mean, we should talk about what just happened.
We should. This is true. We just here at summer camp is special VIP set. You, Kyle Hollingsworth, and Jason Han. I want to start off by saying I love 2 keyboard bands. There should be more of them.
There definitely should be more of them, and I'm happy you got to be here tonight to witness that. We've never played together as a trio before, and it was just kind of an idea of Ian's to put us together. We were throwing around a few different ideas. So I've done a couple shows with just Kyle and me. I've done a couple shows with just Jason and me.
Right.
And so we played a few of the songs together, and we'd picked some things that we felt like we were going to be comfortable with. We were going to have a little powwow before the show, but Kyle got pulled over speeding. Highly advised against speeding when you're coming down to Chillicothe, Illinois. They will get you. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Noted.
And so Kyle was a little bit late to the set, and Jason and I were going to walk on and start playing some intro music for him, and he ran up in his neon track jacket right on cue. I mean, couldn't have nailed it any better. But we did a little Herbie and Bobby McFerrin tune called Turtle Shoes.
Oh man, that song blew me away. Just the 2 of you guys trading, first of all, playing the main riff in perfect unison. The overlapping sound of the piano and the electric piano, just so good. And then the solos were nuts.
That was really fun. We played that one in Boulder earlier this year, but this version was this version was better than that one. It was great. It was a little bit of just a relief. Here we are. Like,
Right. We made it.
Kyle's here. We can play the show. And we got out there. It was cool. We did that. We did Golden by My Morning Jacket. We did
Kitchen.
Yep, In the Kitchen by Umphrey's, and then Let's Go Outside by String Cheese. And Kyle sang most of In the Kitchen. I sang most of Let's Go Outside, so we flipped those.
Nice little
flip flop.
Yeah. You had some nice Moog work during the Let's Go Outside jam.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was nice to. I brought the Mini Moog Voyager out to get a little bass going in some of these parts, and that was one of them where we dove into it. So, and then we finished it off with Reelin' in the Years, little Steely Dan classic, and got to do some more trading solos and stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
It was a really fun set. I'm hoping, this isn't a one-off, that this trio comes back, because it was.
If enough people listen to this podcast.
All right.
Possible.
Okay, we can make it happen, people.
Come
if you're
on,
listening,
guys.
whether you were at this set or not, whether you're hearing about it for the first time right now,
tell your friends.
Tell your friends. We need more Jason Hand, Kyle Hollingsworth, and Joel Cummins trio in the world. That's the lesson from today's podcast. There we go.
I love it.
All right. Well,
we should get out there and hear some music. I guess in my case, I should go play some more music.
You're going to go play some more music. Yeah. Well, Joel, thank you so much for sitting down and doing this. This was a lot of fun, and I look forward to everything to come in the next few days and doing this again in the future.
Ryan, always a pleasure. You can find me, guys, Twitter, Gold Like Joel.
Yes.
Same on Instagram. Umpphreys.com for all the Umpphreys-related stuff. And
Umpphreys.xyz, too.
Umpphreys.xyz for some free live content as well.
There we go.
Guys, come see Umphrey's on tour this summer. We are going to be out and about, or as Ryan says, hootin' a boot. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of We Move Through Stormy Weather. Hope you have a fantastic day, and we will see you next time.